supplies of Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
I don't know that there will be much carryover. I'll be honest. I used to be able to go to the combine, be very efficient with my time, meet with the vendors I want to meet with the people I want to meet with, and get out. This is, I'm going to be more heavily involved in interviews, more heavily involved just meeting people, getting team building with the group going and things like that. So, obviously you can always lean on your experience in the past, just being there and knowing where to walk and the JW and all the things of the combine we all know and love. But for the rest of it, it's going to be a pretty new experience for me, and I look forward to it. I love a new challenge, and it'll be fun in Indy.
All right. It's Kwesi. Judd
dancing.
Doing,
Judd likes that song.
I
was
dancing there off camera for our YouTube
dancing.
audience.
Well, on, off. I don't care. It's a great song.
My favorite thing at XL or like any games when I'm sitting next to Judd and a catchy tune, a top 40 song, we'll play like, Judd, you know this one? Oh, I love this one.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm a fan of all of them.
Love them all. You fan of The Weeknd? Oh, I love The Weeknd. Weekend's great.
I live for the weekend.
Really.
Yeah. So, all right, Mackey and Judd, this is NFL Combine Week, ladies and gentlemen. This is the week. I think a lot of people throughout the years sort of mistake what NFL Combine Week is all about. It's just a bunch of college players running around in skimpy clothing and trying to get a 40 time that helps them. And then that's definitely a big part of the combine. But the bigger part of the combine is all of the backroom meetings and dealings. You've got all of the NFL front offices, all of the scouting departments, agents, and oftentimes even players will wander in and out of back rooms. And you have essentially the planning for the next X amount of days and years. And so with that, Judd, let's start with statements here on a Monday. We're bringing back Buffoon of the Week later in the show.
I can't wait.
Judd has a Buffoon of the Week. But what is your first statement here heading into NFL Combine Week, Judd?
All right, I'm going to start this statement Monday by quoting one of my favorites, the great Jesse Spano of Saved by the Bell fame.
Oh, okay.
With this statement, I'm so excited. That's right. My excitement is off the charts.
Are you scared too, or just excited?
No, I'm just excited. No.
Because the quote ends with her being excited, but then
scared,
actually
Zach.
Pretty scared. Yeah.
And Zach says, Jesse, what are you doing taking those pills? I mean, my God, I can't believe it.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, so you're excited. I'm actually the full version of the quote. I'm so excited, but I'm also so scared. Oh
Crazy, I'm so scared. What are you doing, Phil? Why are you taking those pills? As Phil just said, the National Football League Scouting Combine in Indianapolis, just a football festival, starts on Tuesday. Furthermore, 2 weeks from Wednesday, the NFL league year starts. I feel like the ramp up, especially with the Vikings having made the changes that they have, I feel like the ramp up of late has been fantastic, and there's been a ton of talkers, and it's been fun. But we are going down the hill for the ski jump itself. And the jump is just starting. My excitement. And look, it's not just Kirk. Kirk is a storyline, and it's going to be incredibly interesting to see what transpires there, the phone calls and conversations, the potential that he stays, how that unfolds. But beyond Kirk, Danielle Hunter, Harrison Smith, Dalvin Cook. I mean, I can go down a list of players, certainly not all of whom are going to be gone, but all very, very important players to this team in the past who a new administration is going to have to make decisions on. Yes, that's right. That's right. Much like Jesse Spano, I'm just so excited.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I'll just quickly piggyback here so we can throw all of our opinions about the Combine Week on the table. So my first statement is the next 5 years of Vikings football will be crafted in large part over the decisions they make in the next 90 days. Think about it. All the players Judd just mentioned. Kirk Cousins, huge fork in the road. If you decide to go extension, another year or two, or kick money into future years, you are then committing to most of the veteran players on this roster sticking around and having money. Like, you're basically kicking the can forward on a reset of the organization to some extent, if you choose the path of Kirk Cousins. If you don't choose the path of Kirk Cousins, then it's a completely blank canvas. You might draft a quarterback either way, quite frankly, depending on what happens with Malik Willis. There's some other guys in there, but with Harrison Smith, with Eric Kendricks, with Danielle Hunter, Kirk Cousins, I would even say Adam Thielen's contract. He's one of the top 4 or 5 highest paid players on the team, right? Like this is the nucleus. This is the core of Vikings football from the past 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons, and all of their futures are sort of up in the air. I'm not saying that they're gonna there's a planet where all of them are gone.
Right.
I do think there's a planet where all of them stay, and the Vikings do a bunch of restructures. But whatever this thing is going to look like will be determined. I'm talking 3-5 years down the road. You're going to make major steps in one of 2 different directions in the next 30 days for sure, and then by extension the draft, depending on what you do in the next 90 days. This is people who kind of shut their football brain off after the season's over. The Super Bowl's over. No, this is this might be more fun than the actual season, especially when the Vikings are just middling and struggling to get to 8 wins.
This is the shaping of this franchise in probably a different form. Yes, this is great. This is what when I got frustrated with Rick and Mike, this is what I wanted. Because you took your shot, and that's cool.
Yeah.
You took your shot. So it's not they were a miserable failure. They did nothing good. You did it. It didn't work, unfortunately. And now these are 2 very different people in a GM and coach who have very different ideas. This is as excited as I've been just to see a restructure of things.
Do you think, when Kwesi, all the hours and hours of discussions he had with the Vikings and the ownership group and the front office group that interviewed him, do you think he really knew what he was signing up for? When he held that press conference, a month ago, do you think he really understood the major decisions that were facing him at quarterback with 5 or 6 key members of the roster with the salary cap? I'm guessing he had a pretty good idea because he probably did quite a bit of homework, but I mean, there is conflict inside the building on the quarterback. What
Phil,
they should do.
I think the answer to your question is he still probably, and it's just going to take time, does not have a complete understanding of those things yet. I think it's going to take, if Kirk stays, he's going to see things in season that he just probably can't know unless he sees them, right? So I would say the answer to your question is no, but a month or a month and a half in, I don't think that the things have presented themselves entirely yet. So I think that there's more to come as far as he probably has a better taste now of the dysfunction that existed. But that being said, he's going to see a lot of things. He hasn't really dealt with the players yet. And I'm not just talking Kirk. So, and this is where I will give them a little bit of time in saying that I think it's going to take some time to actually get to know people to make more decisions. They might think one thing today about a group of players, and in 6 months might think, I didn't know that this guy was like that. Oh, I don't like this guy. So I think it's going to be unfolding, but I think Kwesi's a smart enough dude where he is going to be incredibly perceptive to actual experiences that he's probably yet to have with certainly some players and player agents as well, which at the Combine is going to really start in earnest.
Dax, were you jumping in here?
Yeah. I was about to say, I'm excited for this reckless speculation. And in fact, we used to play this disclaimer when we first used to tease this, because this next few weeks is going to get absolutely juicy. So I just want to remind fans before we start talking about things that there's a disclaimer here. In the Minnesota sports media scene, fans are represented by 2 different yet equally important groups. The homers who affiliate with positivity and don't like to have fun, and the realists who prosecute the offenders and recklessly speculate. These are their ideas. So get ready.
Yeah, you're right.
Reckless speculation season, baby.
What will you guys think? All right, as as known Cousins haters here on the show, at that Purple
You are our
Daily,
leader.
Mackey and Judd.
You are our leader.
As known Cousins haters, so I am so far really impressed by everything I've heard from Kwesi, everything I've heard from Kevin O'Connell. Just trying to get my hands on as much information, reading materials, talking to people, etc. And I think you guys are pretty high on them too. Judd's in wait and see mode, but if they push forward with some sort of extension, even if if the third year is a void year, but if they push forward and say, all right, we're going to keep paying big money to Kirk Cousins in 2022 and 2023, and maybe even push some money into 2024, how will it impact your opinion of Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell?
I think it's a mistake. Now, I do think I'll give them a little bit of wiggle room here. I do think for 2022 there could be some problems as far as because of Kirk's contract, and if teams that are going to trade for Kirk want to do an extension, and Kirk's like, I'm good, then it's a problem. But there's a difference between saying, okay, you sort of got us, but we're going to be done with you ASAP, as opposed to being pushed around, which is, okay, we'll extend you again, we'll do this. And those aren't, I'm not talking about trying to attach a void year to help you with your cap hit in 22. I'm talking about an actual extension. If they do that, I am going to be not impressed, because they will learn, as we've all learned, that this is a guy who puts up great stats, but when you want to win football games, he does not have the necessary fundamental makeup to do that. And so if they actually give him an extension, like if they sign on for more of the ill-fated Cousins experience, it will definitely impact my respect for their football acumen.
Mm-hmm. I will say I won't drone on and on about it. Like, I'm not gonna, if it happens, I promise to you guys in the audience, I won't bitch about it every day. I will look at, okay, this is the reality. How can Kevin O'Connell make the best of this? Is there another level to Kirk's game? How can he help Kirk quiet his mind in some big situations? But deep down inside, I will believe that they are signing their tickets to be fired in 3 or 4 years from now.
That's a strong statement right there, Phil.
I mean, it kind of depends.
That's a very strong statement.
It kind of depends on like what the structure of the deal looks like. I mean, if they've got some wiggle room to get out, to get a new quarterback in and get out like after 2023, okay, now you got some room. But if they look and say, yep, we're going to, new head coach, new GM. By the way, those two guys got fired in part because of Kirk and the contract. And there's a really interesting article from Chad Graff in The Athletic today where, he cites Mike Zimmer and a bunch of coaches behind the scenes mostly ripping Kirk Cousins for lack of intangibles, lack of winning traits and winning plays and stuff, right? That if you were to sort of dismiss that and dismiss the way it ended with Jay Gruden and sign up for 3 years of it in your first trip as a GM and coach,
that's hubris, man.
I legitimately think that you are signing up to be a coordinator and let's say a consultant in 3 or 4 years.
You are signing your football death certificate, is what you're telling us.
So, Dex, what do you think?
It depends if Kirk wants to play ball. And by play ball, does that mean would he be willing to accept a lesser contract extension, which it doesn't seem like there's any indication he's interested in doing that. I think that's the thing. If they sign him to a reasonable contract extension, if Kirk had the self-awareness to be like, okay, what can I do to help this team? Forget about my guaranteed money. I've made 155 of it, for God's sakes, in my entire NFL career, but I haven't been able to get over the hump. There isn't, no matter how self-centered he might be, he does have to be aware that there is a negative perception about him. And I think if you want to prove those naysayers wrong, Kirk, if Kirk's camp's listening to this right now, then take less money so you can help build out the rest of their roster.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. If he wants to play ball and say, all right, Kwesi, Kevin, what can I do to help out? What's the parameters that I can look at that I want to take less money so I can figure out how to get an offensive lineman and extend a Neil Hunter, etc. If he wants to do that, then I'm not going to fault Kwesi or KOC. The problem is I don't think there's any indication that Kirk is willing to take less money.
It's really hard to sit here, whether you're Kirk and Kirk's agency or whether you're a Cousins crusader. It's really hard to sit here and say, boy, if he only had a great defense, a top 10 defense, and if only he had a really good offensive line, you got to find a new center and a new guard, and if only he had the perfect coaching staff, and then say, well, take the coaching staff aside because the coaching staff doesn't count to the salary cap, and then say, and he wants to get paid top dollar, $40+ million a year to the salary cap, 20% of the salary cap. You don't get to have all those things. You're not good enough to command that money and then also demand that your front office is perfect with the slim remaining resources that they have at their disposal.
The problem, too, is that to to Dex's point, if Kirk did go in today and said, all right, you know what? I've been a selfish SOB. I want to take a pay cut. Blah. That would fly in the face of who Kirk is. Like if that was Kirk, I'd be in.
Right.
I'd be like, oh, dude, you get it now. This is great.
Leadership qualities,
teammates, yes, because his teammates would be like, Kirk, you took a pay cut. Oh, we love you. But the problem is the entire KC experience is based on basically this, me, because that's who Kirk is. But yeah, that's why all the conversations about Kirk go so much beyond like statistical output and ability to throw the football. Yeah. The conversations go into this murky territory of personality and things. And yeah, I mean, Dex, you're exactly right. If Kirk went into Kwesi today and said, you know, I've really been selfish. I'm sorry. It'd be a totally different ballgame with Kirk.
All right, I think we're back to Declan here. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go with a hockey statement here. Actually, after watching what transpired with the Minnesota Wild over this weekend, I'll say don't panic, but start looking closer. Don't panic, but start looking just a little bit closer here. The Wild have lost 5 of their last 6. They look slow in this little skid. They look sluggish. They don't have the same amount of jump that they had earlier this season. Your top line center in Ryan Hartman has become a shell of himself. Just 1 goal, -7 on the ice in the last 15 games. I think Matt Dumba's injury also is starting to show a little bit. They're putting out Jordy Ben, for God's sakes, for significant minutes, who just has no speed or jump to his game. The trade deadline is 3 weeks from today, and I don't foresee Guerin making a panic move, but I do think he's starting to realize, that's right, sound the alarm, that it lacks like that same special sauce that this team had in the first few months of the season. And the team's goaltending over this skid, I don't know how you look at it, Judd, but like, I wouldn't say it's been superb, but it's not the reason they're losing games. And the issue is, with that though, is you need your goaltending to start stealing you some games, especially in the playoffs. There's going to be games where your offense goes a little silent. Can your goaltending steal you a game? I've yet to even see that. So I'm curious on what Guerin is going to do here. The trade deadline's 3 weeks from today. I don't see a panic move coming, but start digging a little bit closer as to why the Wild haven't been as hot over the last few weeks.
I sense a little panic from Judd's hockey show here. A little panic.
Sports dad?
Okay, I'll piggyback off that statement with this statement about the same team. It's the moment of truth. It's the moment of truth. This is where your GM and coach make their money. Because when your team's hot, it's great. Smooth sailing. We're talking about parades. We're talking about 94 being shut down on a weekday afternoon, so Lord Stanley's beautiful cup can be paraded in the back of a convertible with drunk players
and people.
Yeah, but those are the good times. Those are the great times. Those are the fun thoughts. That is like talking about the last day of school and how you're going to sneak out and go get drunk and your parents aren't going to find out. But then you have stretches like this, and this is where we find out a ton about Dean to a certain point, but really Bill Guerin, because as Dex said, the trade deadline comes up on March the 21st, and like what we're seeing now is very much decision time. Do you think that you're good enough with 1 or 2 tweaks or like one major move? Do you think that you are a good enough team to make one big move? Because I think you can make one. I don't think got a big defenseman and a goalie and a center. You're not going to do all of that. That would cripple you prospect-wise. And Bill Guerin's not stupid. But what we're seeing now is very much the moment of truth of okay, you see the faults, and the faults are more than we might have first thought. Do you address one of those faults in a major way, or do you say flat out, we aren't as good as I thought, and I'm not going to start to mortgage the future for something that I don't think is going to go as far as we initially thought? Now, that sounds no fun, and I get that.
Sounds like you guys are freaking out a little bit.
That's far from an ideal statement. Well, here's the problem. The kryptonite, I think, is twofold. I think the kryptonite is, it used to be just speed. Like, if the Wild met a fast team, they were probably screwed. This team's problem, but there are teams like this, and we saw it in Calgary on Saturday, and we've seen it twice from the Florida Panthers. Speed and some physicality derail them. It's kryptonite. And it's not like there's a ton of teams like that, but there are teams that you're going to meet in the playoffs. And so I'm just saying, moment of truth time. This is where you find out. Do I go make the trades that I think can impact me to make a run this spring, which, by the way, would be great fun. I love that. Or do you say, we aren't as good as I originally thought? And I refuse to think Matt Dumba being out hurts them, but I refuse to say Matt Dumba is the absolute key. I mean, this team lost Brodeen. It lost Spurgeon. It survived. I think they're struggling. I think they're scuffling. I think that Dex is right. They look tired. Bill Guerin, you're up next. What are you gonna do?
Okay, if not now, before this trade deadline, then when? Like at what point?
I know.
So are you? And I'm not saying this to you. I'm saying this to the front
Right.
office. Are you waiting for? Well, once we can get to the level of Colorado, sort of organically, then we'll make a move. I mean, at some point, you need to make a move to make your team better.
That's right.
And if you make a move to make your team better, it might not automatically put you on the level of Colorado, but it might put you a little closer in a sport where you could steal a 7-game series. So I guess I think this applies to the Twins more than any team in town, but with the Twins and the Wild, sometimes it's like, oh, well, like how should we go all in? Should we? They're always like finessing. Well, but if we rob from 2 years from now and take away resources, draft picks or young players, then they're always sort of straddling the line of, do we push chips in or not? Just go for it.
Yeah.
Make a trade. Overpay if you need to. It's the state of hockey, for God's sakes. Like they've never won a championship as the North Stars or the Wild. And this is a really damn good team that could just use a boost, a better goalie. Do something.
That's what we're going to find out.
This team.
That's my statement. That's my very statement.
Don't fight with me.
Are they going in? That's my
pushing
question.
back at me. I'm
Billy,
fighting.
are you jumping in the pool?
I agree. By the way, if you're Bill Guerin, how can you say this and then not make a big move?
Listen, you guys know what this is all about, right? Right? What's it all about? Spurgey?
Hard work and having fun.
That. This is about winning.
I mean, you can't.
I like it.
You can't say that.
And now we're going to find out.
Then, I don't know.
Back it up, baby. Back it up. Yeah.
Amazing. All right.
Very interesting.
We're going to get to Buffoon of the Week here in a second, but I just want to say I put this out on Twitter. And granted, I put this out, I think, I put it out, I'm pretty sure, after they beat Memphis. They got smoked by Philadelphia, but somewhere in that home back-to-back. D'Angelo Russell is in the top 5 players I've been most wrong about in my life talking on a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a time where I was right about D'Angelo, which is he's just kind of a volume shooting, flashy guard that lacks substance. And he is a volume shooter, and he is a streaky shooter. But I feel like he has become this calming, steady hand that not only with his scoring and the way that he can take over a game, but even sometimes defensively, the way that he communicates on the court with teammates, the way that he's been leading
The eye
both
contact.
on the bench and on the eye contact.
Yeah, he's great at it. He moves guys. He moves teammates more than Kirk does with his eyes. He's great at
he is a great communicator. I didn't know that you were.
I was watching on a
specifically
Friday.
watching his eye contact.
Yeah.
I'm impressed by your
I'm breaking it down
basketball,
when I'm there, man. Yeah, it's great. It's fun to watch. I'm dead serious. I'm not trying to be a smartass. I'm serious.
No, I know he's like there's little subtle things that he's been doing,
Yep.
and I do feel like there was a time even early in his Wolves tenure though where he would disappear for stretches and at both as a shooter and as a leader. I think he connects much better with Chris Finch. I know that he connects better with Chris Finch than he did with Ryan Saunders. And that probably he's kind of an extension of Chris Finch, and then he's taken Ant Edwards under his wing, and obviously he's close with Karl Anthony Towns. So I've been trying to think about the rest of that list. Like people are going to say, "Kurt, you're wrong about Kirk Cousins," and we'll see. But he's definitely top 5 players I've been most wrong about the way that he has kept this thing going forward. What do you guys think? Who have you been the most wrong about in your lives watching sports?
Well, I've been more wrong on the opposite end of praising guys who turned out to be buffoons, as opposed to like underselling guys. So, off the top of my head, I mean, I've praised a few guys who I thought were great. Oh, classic one, Zach Parise. Like I initially thought Zach is great in the room, and the rest of the team is something's wrong. And then the more I found out, I was totally wrong.
Yeah, he was
He was more selfish than I thought. Now Suits took the cake. Don't get me wrong. But, Zach was not. I thought, oh, my God, Zach's the captain. He's the spiritual, what's the word, touchstone of this team.
He's the heartbeat.
Yeah, heartbeat. And I found out, Judd, you're completely wrong. Mm-hmm. So that was one, because I went on the air and extensively talked about he must be sick about the fact his teammates aren't pulling their end of the bargain, blah, blah, blah. So that was probably one of my worst just flat out takes. That was a take, not just like I like this guy or I don't like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I used to buy so much stock into Twins prospects. I used to
Oswaldo
buy.
Arcia was number one for me.
Oh, and I did some combing.
Never got a chance though.
I did some combing through Phil Mackey, Oswaldo Arcia tweets this weekend for an old tweets exposed edition. We have a few candidates already that I'll have to pick through which one. But yeah, I thought Alex Meyer was going to be an absolute stud.
I'm still blocked on Twitter.
With Alex Meyer.
I'm still blocked by him on Twitter. Yes, he blocked me.
Probably my most famous one, which has nothing to do with a Minnesota sports athlete. I was convinced that Kevin Cobb was going to be the next stud quarterback.
Why?
Kevin, I have a lot of receipts on it. I was convinced Kevin Cobb was going to be a stud out of like Andy Reid's system. I thought when he went to Arizona, he was going to ball out. And then the dude had like 17 concussions and also just wasn't very
that's
good
such
at
a
football.
weird.
Concussions are the reason why.
A lot of reasons didn't work
Declan,
out.
that's such a weird, random athlete to
agree.
attach yourself to.
I agree.
Like-
but
Declan
it's
has
the one
always
that stands
attached
out the
himself
most.
to
Like Christian Ponder, I would get.
mediocre quarterbacks.
Yes.
Yeah, you really
you're
do.
calling.
You like
Yes.
a lot of guys who sucked.
Yes. So
But like Ponder, I would get.
No,
I love Christian Ponder. I thought he was going to be
shockingly,
good.
I mean, I'm sure I have like a receipt or two, but I never was huge on Ponder. I was mostly lukewarm on him, and that one I was right about. But other ones, no. lot of bad ones.
I also just as I went down this rabbit hole, because your brother Liam and other people were like, okay, well, who else is on the list? And so I had an easier time. I'd have to really think. Obviously we've taken up 3-4 hours a day on microphones for a decade plus, so we're plenty wrong, as you can find out Wednesdays. I'll write that down. The players I have criticized or hammered the most since joining either Score or previously 1500 ESPN, and I don't think D'Lo makes the top. He's not on the Mount Rushmore for me of players I've hammered the most. And Judd, you tell me if I'm wrong on this, but Kirk Cousins is probably the George Washington on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins,
Yep.
Miguel Sano, and this would have been before you and I started doing a show. This would have been back in the Royce and Mackey days, but Delman Young are the 4 players I think I've spent the most time
They all
just
deserved it.
hammering in this town.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say. I'd say that those 4 are very fair. Very, very fair.
Well, some people would say one of those 4 is not fair in Kirk Cousins, but I will tell you, my track record is 3 for 3 before you get to Kirk Cousins. I was right about Andrew Wiggins. I was right about Miguel Sano. I was right about Delman Young.
They have one.
What side of history do you want to be on?
Exactly. And
Delman Young.
In Kirk's time here, they have one playoff appearance and one playoff win. That's not good enough. Sorry.
Yeah, well, not his fault though, but it's fine.
Yeah, nothing's his fault. Nothing is his fault.
Dex, do you want to sneak one more in here before we get to the buffoon of the week?
The last one I will have, it's a personal one, because later today I have to go to the dentist. So my statement is, make sure you are taking your general dentist routine checkups, because I have 4 cavities to be filled later this afternoon.
Oh, you got
4. And
you just
they
not brush your teeth, or what's
I'm good at brushing. I don't go to the dentist. It's been 2 years.
I did that for a long time.
And then also, they're not going to do it this time, because I was like, no, I'm already going to go through a lot. They want to pull a wisdom tooth that already came in, and I'm just like, can we just postpone that one?
Can they do that
to the next visit
at your establishment? Because
Yeah.
So I've got all 4. They want them all out, but my dentist doesn't do that. So I've got to have a consultation and then
God.
pulled at a different clinic.
No.
You've made it this far though. Like, why?
'Cause
Dumb
they-
question. Why do you need them out now?
Because it makes it more difficult to clean your back teeth
Figure it out.
that are good. I told the doctor at one point, I said, I'm 52. I have these things have been with me the entire way.
Mm-hmm.
We're good friends. I like my teeth. They don't bother me. Like, I'm fortunate. They all they're all out. So, like, there's no huge problem. And he's like, you got to have them pulled out. I'm like, dude, I don't want them pulled out.
I feel like
So,
sometimes they're
I'm
trying
delaying
to run
right
a
now.
business, right? You know, they're trying
Right.
to.
Oh yeah.
And they could reference you to a place where I've thought about that.
Okay, so another dumb question. What makes it harder for them to clean your back teeth?
They're crunched
there's
together back
Yeah,
there.
Yeah, but
the way
all of your
wi-
teeth are crunched together.
But the way the wisdom teeth like come in, it's like oblong, and it makes it difficult to. It builds up plaque too. They explain it to me like as in
Yeah.
it's easy to build up plaque and it's hard to get all the way back
And they
there.
can't get back there.
Yeah.
Well, they went to college for multiple years to
I
get to know how to
concur.
clean your teeth.
Hey, I don't want 'em out.
disagree.
Do your job.
Okay?
And
your job.
I'd rather go to the doctor.
You're gonna get an
job.
angry dentist email.
Do your job.
Do your
no,
job.
my people are for years have been like, you got to get this done, and I'm always like, I don't want to. And
It's not
according
fun,
to
dude.
them,
I had mine out like 10 years ago. It's pretty bad.
so
For like 2 days, it's pretty bad.
according to them, if they have broken through, so they're not impacted, which mine are through, it's not that bad.
Yeah, that's what
If they have to go
told me.
get them,
Yeah.
it's a different ballgame.
Like mine's on the right side. Mine's all like basically all the way through. And they claim they don't even have to knock me out. They're just going to give me anesthesia and
Yeah.
they pull the sucker out.
Yeah.
But I'm already doing the 4 cavities, and I'm like, can we
That's
just
a lot of-
postpone it to
and
the August,
that's a
like
lot
my
of work.
next checkup?
I'm with you, Dex. That's a lot of work.
I'm not trying to do 4 cavities and a teeth pull all
Here's
in
my
one
question.
day. This is amazing.
Why were people designed with things they don't need? Appendixes and wisdom teeth.
Well, the word design might cause an issue with some people in our audience.
Well,
wanna have
why
that
are people
debate?
born with things they don't need? And why is it not corrected? Correct itself. Get rid of the wisdom teeth.
Do you believe people were designed or evolved? 651-646.
646.
Okay, what I'm saying is we know you don't need them now. Can we just correct that?
Over time, I think.
Like, I got teeth I don't need. Why do I have teeth I don't need? I don't want them.
That's a great question. I will tell you, if you're a business owner, sometimes it's great. Sometimes it can be like pulling teeth to grow your business, to maximize the success of your business. And that's
Bada
where
bing.
Federated comes in. Federated's all about helping you maximize your business through risk management tools and resources. There's all kinds of great people and tools available at federatedinsurance.com. You can find your dedicated marketing rep in your region to build that face-to-face relationship with too. Federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours.